all of that, it's all the same theme. We're in the shit, right? This is just the story of our lives. Truly, the story of our lives. We're in the shit. We don't know what to do. Hello, you wonderful folk and folkettes. How are you doing? Well, today I'm talking about all of the people who are waking up and all of the work that the emissaries have got on at the moment. They are extremely busy, so they say. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So I was chatting with the emissaries the other day and I said to them, how's it going? As I always do, how's it going? And they said, we are doing the good work. And I said, what sort of good work are you doing? They said, well, we've never been so busy, which I was very happy to hear. I like hearing that when they've been so busy. And I said, what's happening? They just said, well, there are so many people now who are turning to us for help that we have had to recruit in more. You know, the way that the emissaries work is that they say that they're one, but that the one is made up of many. And so that they can, because they've got one objective, one goal, but that the more work that they have, the more of these beings are called in. Yeah, sort of, get into the substitutes and stuff like that. So they're saying that they're very, very busy. And I said, why so busy now? Why now? And they said, well, because we've got this massive wave of people who they said, these were their words, who are crying out in the darkness, crying out for help. People who don't know where to turn anymore. They've got nowhere to turn. The structures that they saw as solid, that were taking care of them, have all crumbled in their eyes. They've just discovered, thanks to the files that have come out, they've just discovered that all of the leaders of the world are deeply ensconced in being PDF files and all of that, and satanic and everything. And it's just like, so where do I turn? And then many of them know what religion is all about and how that often has had tremendous links to that kind of thing again, the PDF files thing. And so they don't know where to turn. And the emissary said that what's happening is that the people are going through this massive wave of emotions, and they listed off all the emotions, which were sadness, confusion, bitterness, anger, angst. And they've said before, a long time ago, I said, how can people connect with you? And they said, all that they have to do is ask. They just have to tell us, to talk to us, give us permission, because they said without permission they weren't able to get involved fully. So what they're saying is that these people who are suffering all of these shithouse emotions, to call them that, they are crying out. And they said either they're crying out to God, crying out to the universe, but they said it's a cry that comes from the heart. And that is the cry that it's like a little phone call to the emissaries. When people are truly from the heart saying, please help me, we need help, the emissaries are there. And it's interesting, because they said people are crying out in the darkness. And I thought, that sounds very familiar to me. It sounds biblical to me. And that's not uncommon for the emissaries to quote from the Bible. Not all of it, but some of it, the nice bits. And so I thought, I'll have a little look to see about this crying out, because it seems to be that's what they're saying, it's happening all over. And so the classic one is in Matthew, when Jesus is on the cross. If you believe in the cross, if you believe in the stake, well, he was like that. If you believe in the cross, he was like that. If you believe in Jesus, maybe he wasn't even there. But the story is absolutely important. And God withdraws his spirit from Jesus. First time in his life, I think. And Jesus says, Father, why have you forsaken me? And what's interesting about that is that there's a scripture in Psalms with exactly the same wording, which goes, my God, why have you forsaken me? But there's more. There's one. This is the name of this book of the Bible makes me laugh, because even when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I used to look at it and think, I don't think I really want to read that. It sounds a bit miserable. It's called Lamentations, and to lament is like to be not very happy. You're not happy if you're lamenting. They have the same verb in Spanish as well. It's like, I'd rather not be with somebody who's just lamenting. Anyway, in Lamentations, it says that they arise and cry out in the night, in the dark. It's always like the dark, we have the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul, when it's experienced, and it's in the tarot cards and it's everywhere, dark night of the soul is the transformation. It's where you die and then you're reborn. It's where you have an epiphany. It's where you hit rock bottom, as the metaphor goes. You're at the bottom of the pool and finally you can push on up. That's what that's about. The dark night of the soul. And this is what this is referring to. And this is what the emissaries are talking about. People are in the dark night of the soul now and they don't know where to turn. Another one from Psalms. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. And then the last one from Psalms. In old Bible language, they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saveth them out of their distress. He saveth them. Beautiful. All of that, it's all the same theme. We're in the shit, right? This is just the story of our lives. Truly, the story of our lives. We're in the shit. We don't know what to do. And so we turn back to God. Why is it that in the moments of high stress, in the moments of high trouble, in the moments where we think that we are going to lose everything, the only person that we talk to is God? Why is that? That's our knee-jerk reaction. Why? Because deep down there's a memory there, and we know about the connection. We know about the importance of God. And I remember seeing a guy who was an atheist, right? Not just an atheist, but one of those ones that wanted to convince everybody else that God didn't exist. And he was doing this video and he's talking about atheists and God's a load of bunkum and all of that. And something fell behind him and he got a shock and he went, Jesus Christ. And that is exactly my point. When the chips are down, at the end of the day, right? When the shit hits the fan, we don't say, please, let the neighbour come and save me. Please, let my dad come and save me. No, what we say is, please God, let me get out of this alive. Often you hear people say, I said, please God, let me get out of this alive. If I do get out of this alive, I will serve you for the rest of my days. It's happened loads of times. Why is it that we have to recourse to God? Because that's what we do. Because we are linked and it's home. It's home. That's where we came from. We came here on a journey, but we know where home is. And when we are really pushed, consciousness disappears. We are really in touch with the deepest unconscious part of us, which calls out in the darkness to God. And that is where people are right now. And it's beautiful. People have got to hit rock bottom. There is no choice. When you're floating, just floating neither down nor up, you're not going to go anywhere. There's no momentum, there's nothing. And this is what's been happening in our society. People have just been treading water, I suppose, is that the expression? Just going through the motions, just living a life of no life, of non-life. Not having too much, but not having too little. Not being too hot and not being too cold. Everybody's been living a tepid life. And the only way that they can be shook up, the only way that they can be woken up, is for them to hit rock bottom. And then to cry out from that place way down there and say, please help me. And then the emissaries who are there on their sturdy steeds go riding in, or here, look at this, look at that, look at this, God loves you. And that's what's happening right now. So these are wonderful times. Let me just tell you one thing before we finish. I'm aware right now of this fusion that we're in. We're in a fusion between the solid 3D reality in which we used to live and wherever it is that we're going to, this slightly higher vibration, whatever. And we are in the fusion point. What I'm seeing is an increase in these coincidences, in these strange things that are happening. I'm seeing this in my own life and in the stories that people are telling me. We're getting a blurring of the lines. If I had €5 for every repeated number, every repeated time, every repeated word that I'm hearing, these patterns everywhere, I'd be very, very rich. But I think I'm not alone. I think everybody's starting to have these really unusual experiences because we are in this transition between reality as we've known it and the new reality. All you have to do is watch the last 4 videos posted by Bibi Netanyahu to know that there's something not real going on. It's just unreal. And I truly don't, I'm at the place where I just want to step back and not believe anything now. I'm not interested in believing anything. I don't need to know if it's really real or not, because the sense I get is that it's not. Whilst at the same time it is. You know, if I get into the car and I trap my finger in the car door, bloody hell, it's going to hurt. I know it's real. And yet, how can I put it? If you imagine that this universe is a blanket, right, a thick blanket, this reality is a thick blanket, it's starting to fray at the edges and the seams are coming apart a bit. That's probably the best way. It's coming apart at the seams. And it's fascinating to watch. I'm just watching it thinking, wow, and what else are we going to see today? What strangeness are we going to observe today? Put in the comments if you've noticed an increase with these coincidences happening. Vicky Cook from our Telegram group. By the way, we've got a Telegram group if you want to join us. The link's in the video information. Join us. It's a lovely place filled with beautiful people. You've got to be a nice person to come and join us. But Vicky Cook is telling a story about a neighbour who said that she saw her, shouted hello, and Vicky, supposedly, was going away with her friends to have a night out somewhere, a drinking night. And Vicky doesn't even drink. And the neighbour said, it was you, and Vicky saying, well, it wasn't me. What's that about? I don't know, but I'm hearing so many stories like this of like strange things going on. So put in the comments anything strange that's happened to you of late. I'd be very interested. I think all of us would be very interested in reading that. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.